Hey, what is up guys, it's Loyal, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the best settings that you should use if you're on controller. These settings are very different compared to others as they're actually really slow, but there's a reason behind that and I'll explain it later on in the video. But pretty much, I found them to be perfect as you could do every skill consistently. Once perfected, you could hit 90% of the shots you make, do retakes for much longer without messing up, and also be able to do edits non-stop with no mistakes. Pretty much the best settings for consistency and gameplay overall. But with that said, I'm gonna be explaining more about the settings in the video, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started. Alright guys, so first off, I'm gonna begin by showing you guys my settings so you guys can go ahead and copy it. And then after that, I'm gonna briefly explain each setting and why I found it to be perfect. Also, quick disclaimer, this video is mostly built around sensitivity and not keybinds because everybody has different preferences for keybinds and you guys should use what you're most comfortable with. So here are my settings and feel free to get a good look at it and pause the video. Now, like I said in the intro, these settings are really slow, but the reason behind that is so you can be a lot more consistent with hitting your shots, placing builds where you want them to, and also being able to select the right tiles every time you edit. It's obviously not only that, but trust me, there's so much more to these settings that I'm gonna explain. And also, I experimented with dozens of different sensitivity combos throughout the past week, and I really found these settings to be the best overall by far. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and explain each setting and why I chose it. The first one is vibration, and it's really simple. If you have it on, turn it off. This is because whenever you shoot, your controller will vibrate, which can throw you off by making it harder to aim and make you miss your shots. Turn it off, it's as really simple as that. Now for now, I'm gonna skip the build and edit multiplier panel and explain it later, but here we have the advanced look sensitivity. Now this is really slow, like really slow, and the reason I made it slow is so it could be a lot easier to hit your shots and you could be a lot more consistent with hitting your shots. You see, with high sensitivity, it's a lot harder to hit your shots because you need to be a lot more precise with your thumbs on the joystick, obviously because they are going to be more sensitive. What this means is the amount of distance that you move on your joystick is going to give a faster motion in game, which overall makes it harder for you to be consistent. Now with slow sensitivity, such as the ones I'm using right now, it is a lot easier to hit your shots because you can be a lot more precise with the joystick since the amount of distance you move it is going to give a slower motion in game. I hope that makes sense. It can be confusing, but yeah, slow sensitivity is 10 times better than fast sensitivity when it comes to hitting your shots. Now I chose the sensitivity because aim assist works insanely well with it, and you may be thinking, how would aim assist do better with the sensitivity than others? And I'm going to explain that right away. Now since the sensitivity is slow, your aim assist will lock on for a longer time rather than with fast sensitivity. This is because since it's going to be slower to move across the screen, it will lock onto the enemy for a longer time as well. With fast sensitivity, it's the opposite. Since it moves across the screen faster, the aim assist will lock on the enemy for a shorter duration of time, which is obviously not good because you want aim assist to lock on much easier. And obviously I didn't just choose the sensitivity because it was slow, I also tested multiple slow sensitivities and found this one to be the best by far since it's balanced between being slow but still being fast enough to do other things. Now that's all I'm gonna explain for X and Y sensitivities because there's just so much to talk about and I don't want this video to take too long. But just trust me, try them out, and you will be amazed with the outcome. Well, finish the video before you do that, of course. Alright, so our next part is the boosts, and I find boosts to be very controversial because they have their goods and bads. But I decided to use boosts because since the sensitivity is slow, there may be times where you need to flick or do a fast 180, and boosts are perfect to help with that. With the 35-35 sensitivity, it's almost too slow at some points to do actions like these, so you kinda need boosts to help out. But don't worry, these are still really easy to get used to and just take time. And the reason I chose the horizontal boost higher than the vertical is because you're going to be having a lot more instances where you're going to be flicking to the sides rather than up to the sky. Next up is aim sensitivity, and again, it's still pretty freaking slow, no surprise. Now these are actually much slower than the recommended aim sensitivity, but trust me, it's literally the most perfect aim sensitivity ever. It's really just the same reasons as the normal sensitivity we discussed earlier in the video. It's a lot easier to be precise and aim assist is a lot better with it. But I also noticed that it's perfect for most times where you're aimed in. For example, if an enemy is around like 30 or 100 meters away from you. When they are that distance and you are aimed in, you'll notice that the sensitivity is much easier to control where your shots are going, and it will come to the point where it's actually hard to miss your shots. And it'll also have boosts for the same reason as the normal sensitivity. If you need a flick to the side, you can use it, but honestly, if you don't like having boosts when aimed in, you can just turn it to 0% because they don't make too much of a difference. But yeah, the ADS sensitivity is honestly just perfect, and I really recommend you guys use it. Now scrolling back up, let's go ahead and check out the build and edit multipliers. Now I have these set quite high because when it comes to building, you're gonna be moving your joystick all over the place, so you can't really have it set at a super low speed. But the thing is, it's still pretty slow compared to other settings. Now I found this to be perfect because it's fast enough to do most retakes and also slow enough to be consistent with those retakes. Since it's slow, you can be able to focus a lot more on what you're placing rather than just spamming builds everywhere. And it's honestly just really smooth to use, and you would literally just look like Razor X every time you build. Depending on what sensitivity you used before, you may need to change your usual retakes since this may be a lot slower than what you usually do. But here's a clip of me free building so you can get an idea of what playstyle and retakes work best with this sensitivity. If you're not into that style and like it a bit more fast paced, feel free to up the multiplier, but I honestly think this works best for consistency. For the edit multiplier, it's honestly really simple and there's not too much to talk about here. It's pretty much just perfect as it's fast enough to select all the tiles you need in a certain amount of time, and it's also slow enough to select the ones that you want and not accidentally select extra tiles. This of course allows you to be more consistent with your editing, while still be able to control what you want to do. Also quick tip, when you're editing, make sure to select the edges of each tile rather than selecting the middle, since you could get each edit done a lot quicker. Next up, we have this panel right here, and this one is pretty simple. Just set the dampening time to 0 because we don't want to have any delay when we move our sticks, and obviously go ahead and set aim assist to 100% because you're gonna want to get the best aim you can get. Oh, and for the input curve, if you haven't yet, go set it to linear instead of exponential. I don't want to explain too much about it, but linear is just 10 times better to control as it's a linear curve and not a curved exponential one. And lastly, we have the dead zone settings, and this one just depends on if your controller is broken or not. Pretty much what dead zone does is it completely cancels the amount of distance from the center of your joystick. And the reason you would want to do that is if your stick has stick drift, which is when your joystick moves without touching it. But if you don't have that issue, just simply turn the dead zone to the lowest possible, so there's no delay whatsoever with the movements on your joystick. Now that's pretty much all there is for the settings, but I want to make sure that you guys can practice learning these settings in the best way possible because they can take some time. For building, I honestly recommend using my new free build map as it has no delay whatsoever, and it's just a big open space for free building and practice. In this map, you could also practice by 1v1ing your friends, which can really improve your building. For editing, go ahead and try my progressive edit course as it's around like 20 minutes long and it starts easy and gets harder the longer you go. Trying this daily will drastically improve your editing and really get you to know your sensitivity. Lastly, for aiming, I highly recommend using Raider's aim duel map as aim duels are literally perfect practice for aiming. Also with his map, he does have matchmaking, which means he can duel a random player at any time. So yeah, if you want to learn these settings the fastest way possible, definitely try these 3 maps out. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is for today's video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, be sure to comment down below and I'll try to answer as many as I can. Also, if you are still watching, that does mean that you technically enjoyed it, so don't forget to drop a like and sub. And if you guys want to support me even more than watching this video, my code is loyal, so go ahead and use it in the item shop if you like. But yeah, anyways, thanks so much for watching, and peace out.